But anyway, you look at the Apostle Paul facing these Greeks who prided themselves on their intelligence, and they had philosophers. The word philosopher means one who loves wisdom. Philo is a type of love, wisdom, love of wisdom. Philosophia, philosopher, the love of wisdom. Then certain philosophers of the Epicureans and of the Stoics. Of course, the Epicureans followed Epicurus, who believed that the only way to find true and complete satisfaction and happiness is to never say no to yourself. If it feels good, do it. Can you see where that could lead to trouble? Whatever seems good to you, go for it. That's how you'll be happy. I think there's people, we've got a lot of Epicureans out there in practice, right? The Stoics took the antithesis of that, and they said, if you really want to be happy, never allow yourself to do anything you like. Say no to yourself constantly. Eat all, you know, the definition of a diet, you can eat all you want of everything you don't like. Isn't that true? Huh? And so they continually were denying themselves. Those are constant penance that they were doing. They never would allow themselves to be happy. I imagine, I wonder what their faces looked like. Pretty glum, huh? Anyway, they encountered him, and some said, they're encountering Paul. And by the way, how could all these intelligent people come up with such polemic differences there? Kind of makes you wonder, like our Supreme Court. It's supposed to be the greatest legal minds in the world, and they can't agree. Do you ever wonder about that? Well, anyway. Here are the Epicureans and Stoics, and they encountered him, and some said, what will this babbler say? Now the word babbler there comes from a Greek word that means seed picker. So they're looking at Paul and they're calling him a seed picker. What's this seed picker going to say? Others some, he seemeth to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he preached unto them Jesus and the resurrection. Boy, did they have a lot of religion there, but they didn't know Jesus Christ. Boy, do we have a lot of religion in America, but we don't have people who know Jesus Christ. They use his name sometimes, usually when they hit their hand with a hammer, but they don't know him. They just go to churches. They put their time in. They punch in, they might as well give them time cards. They punch in, they punch out. Nothing happens in between. Anyway, the Word of God tells us that they wondered about Paul. I mean, after all, he's preaching some new god. He's not talking about Zeus or Poseidon or Hades or Athena or any of the others, Aphrodite, any of these others, gods and goddesses. He's talking about Jesus. We never heard of him. See, they believed in mythology. They believed they had a religion where mother gods and daddy gods had baby gods. Did you ever study mythology at all in school? Or look any of it up? We had to learn that stuff. It's the basis of all witchcraft. Because witches worship those gods and goddesses, just like the Greeks did. They have different names sometimes, but that's what they do. What a mess. But anyway, they had all these different, this whole pantheon. They built temples for them. The ruins of them are still there. Do you ever wonder about those old ancient gods and goddesses, what they think of all those ruins standing there right now? We don't worship a God of ruins. We worship a God who remade our lives, where all things are become new. So they took Paul. It says, and they took him and brought him unto Areopagus. Of course, Aries, being the first sign of the zodiac, was ruled over by the planet Mars in their religion. as it is in astrology. And they took him to Mars Hill. Now Mars was the god of war. There was going to be a battle going on. How appropriate. There was going to be a spiritual battle going on here. So they brought him to Areopagus, saying, "May we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is." We want to know more about this. Is new to us. Tell us about it. "For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears." Oh, they had all this religion. You know, when you talk to people out there and you tell them the truth, it's strange to them, isn't it? If you're a real, true, born again, and I mean really born again, filled with the Spirit of God, Christian, and you talk to people out there, they look at you like a mule looks at a new gate, don't they? It's strange. You're odd. Are you in some kind of a cult? Are you weird? What's wrong with you? What planet did you step off from? This is how they looked at Paul. They said, "For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know, therefore, what these things mean." Well, he wasn't going to miss that opportunity. Boy, they asked the right guy that time, didn't they? "For all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else." So they didn't have computers, they didn't have TVs, they didn't have DVDs or any of that kind of stuff. They spent all their time in nothing else but either to tell or to hear some new thing. Well, this was a new thing. So they were open to hear it. "Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill." Could almost see him standing there on that hill of that god of war. And he begins to preach. "And said, Ye men of Athens." So he lifted up his voice. You know, back then the speakers were trained to, it was a matter of courtesy and protocol. When they would stand to speak, they'd lift their right hand up. "Ye men of Athens." I can picture him there. "I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious." What is superstition really? It's that prevailing spirit of witchcraft that strikes fear into people. Superstition is fear. Religion strikes fear into people. They've got to be religious or the religion they've got will condemn them. So they're afraid. Superstitious. If a black cat walks in front of you, whoa, bad luck, right? Of course, the word luck is derived from the word Lucifer. So I don't believe in luck, and you shouldn't either. Of course, the reason they say that a black cat is bad luck if it walks in front of you is because it goes back to the old days where all witches had black cats. And it's not the cat's fault, but they would use the cats like carrier pigeons to send messages. They'd put a little collar around them, put a message in there because it was dangerous to be a witch in those days. They'd kill you if they caught you. And they would carry messages back and forth between the witches. So they believed that you got caught right in the middle of a witch's message if a black cat crossed your path. All right? Or breaking a mirror. They say that, you know, remember years ago Russia had the space station called Mir, M-I-R? And a satellite slammed into it, and I said, oh, there's bad luck for them. They broke a mirror. They've been having trouble ever since. But anyway, so break a mirror, 7 years bad luck, right? Walk under a ladder. Well, you know that's not good. Somebody's going to drop something on you. But they have all these superstitions, and people live in all of this fear. They throw salt over their shoulder. You know, don't open an umbrella in the house. There's a million of them. So Paul is saying, you're too superstitious. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, here we go, they were devout, but they were superstitious, but they were wrong.